Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Suela Painvasoa, and I'll be your moderator for today's update on the Nova Scotia wildfire situation. Joining us today, we have from the Department of Natural Resources, Jim Rudderham, Director of Fleet and Forest Protection, and Scott Tingley, Manager of Forest Protection. Also on the line are Andrew Mitton, Director of Regional Operations with the Department of Emergency Management, and Bob Robichaud, who is the Warning Preparedness Meteorologist with Environment and Climate Change Canada. So we'll begin with remarks from Jim and Scott, and following their remarks, our panel will take one question and one follow-up question, and if there's time, I'll circle back and offer an additional question as well. If anyone has any issues with the recording for today's Zoom briefing, we're happy to provide a recording of the news conference afterwards. For today, please use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen under the reaction section to ask a question. And if you do not have a microphone, you can still ask a question on the chat, but please raise your hand so that we can watch out for it as well. We have a hard stop at 2:30 p.m. this afternoon to allow our panel to get back to managing the fires. And as a reminder, outside of this media availability, please direct all questions about the wildfires to wildfirecomms@novascotia.ca. Repeating, wildfirecomms@novascotia.ca. So we will get started with remarks from Jim. Jim, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Today, we still have 3 active wildfires in this province, 1 out of control at Long Lake and the 2 that are under control. Yesterday, our crews did not respond to any reports of a fire, so there was no new wildfires in the province yesterday. Weather conditions, well, I'm going to leave that alone and let Bob, who's much better at that than I am, get to the weather conditions. We still have our 2 tanker groups in the province, a team of 4802 skimmers from Northwest Territories, another team from Manitoba, 2 CL-415 air tankers. We also have 6 contracted air helicopters on scene as well, leaving our helicopters here in Shumanakity ready to respond for any incidents within the province to get initial attack to those as quickly as we can. I'll turn it over to Scott.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Suela. The current size of the Long Lake fires still report 3,212 hectares, so minimal growth over the last couple days, favorable firefighting conditions. The status does remain at out of control. I'm just going to bring up an image of the fire. Is that showing there now?
Yes, it is, Scott. Thank you.
So just in terms of what we're expecting with the fire over the next couple days and the priority work that's going on. So this red line here represents the perimeter of the fire. Ground crews, so including the heavy equipment and then the firefighters primarily have been focused up on this north part of the fire in and around where it's closest to the community of West Alhazi. Building fire breaks out around the edge of the fire as well as fully suppressing as much as they can these areas in anticipation of some of the wind shifts that Bob can fill us in on that's going to happen this weekend. But today we're anticipating winds shifting around to the north through the day, pushing the fire this direction away from the community. But crews are also shoring up as best they can along what we call this flank of the fire. So as the wind shifts around, it'll change what parts of the fire are most active. So they're doing work up along this northern part and down here on the ground to mitigate as much possible growth and movement of the fire when the winds do shift back to south on Sunday. So we've got a lot of focus of air resources soaking down and putting as much water as they can down in the southwest and south part of the fire in anticipation of the north winds today. Again, trying to mitigate as much growth as they possibly can in anticipation of these wind shifts. We have on the fire, we've got 42 firefighters from Ontario, 5 firefighters from PEI, 52 natural resources firefighters, 44 members of volunteer fire departments. We've got 43 DNR support staff supporting the firefighting effort on the ground, as well as 30 pieces of heavy equipment that have been contracted to help build those fire breaks.
Okay, thank you, Scott and Jim. So we will open it now for questions. I'm just gonna ask, there we go. So we'll open it now for questions. So if you want to raise your hands for questions, we'll get started. There we go. I see the hands raised now. So we're gonna start with Jake with Global News.
Hi there. Thanks all for making the time. I don't know if this is best directed towards Bob or Andrew, but I'm just wondering how big a threat is Aaron to public safety right now?
Maybe I'll let Bob start with that. He can give you a brief on where the current hurricane is, and I can support that.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, that sounds good. Essentially, the hurricane is about 600 kilometers offshore, so it's quite a ways out there. Some of the cloud is extending over Nova Scotia, but other than that, the main thing that we are looking at with in terms of the hurricane are the waves and potentially some rip currents and heavy surf along the Atlantic coast. That's probably the biggest impact or the highest threat right now is for these large waves along the coast. In terms of how it relates to the fire, what we're seeing across at least central and western parts of the province right now are some kind of gusty northeasterly winds. If it wasn't the fact that we had a hurricane out there, nobody would really make much note of it. But that's what we're seeing right now is temperatures in the low 20s, relative humidity is around 40%, and winds out of the northeast. We did see some gusts to 45 just around midday. They might be a little bit stronger than that over the course of the late afternoon. But that should be it in terms of the wind. But that's kind of what we expect with the hurricane. The main thing to public safety would be along the coastline.
And Jake, did you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you. I'm just wondering how should people be preparing, I guess, now that we've seen the first hurricane of the season.
Yeah, I think I mean we promote preparedness all year round, whether it's hurricanes, wildfires, floods. Um, but having a kit, having be ready to maybe leave your home on a moment's notice, or even be prepared to stay within your home, and looking at the different things that you would need to either take with you or have to keep at home to be prepared for at least 72 hours.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mitton and Bob. So we're gonna move on to MBS with Sheldon, or Sheldon with MBS.
Thank you, Suella. A quick question. What are the conditions like on the ground? Are the firefighters in the effort today seeing any impact on the winds as they have been picking up?
I know they've been working all morning. I know the aircraft was out this morning as well. So I haven't heard anything yet, but I know they've been actively working. As long as it's safe, they're going to be out there.
For follow-up, Bob, what can you tell us about after the system moves through when it comes to any expected rainfall?
Sure, yeah, that's the thing that we're all waiting for. Once the system moves through, we have another area of high pressure that's going to bring lighter winds on Saturday. But then once we get into Sunday, the winds, as Scott mentioned, are going to shift around again to south or southwest, and they are going to pick up over the course of the day on Sunday. And then on Monday, we're watching a couple of systems that could bring us some rain and potentially some substantial rain at that. So we have our fingers crossed for Monday. It looks promising that we will get some rain. We're going to have to wait a day or two to find out exactly how much, but some of the models are are indicating something that would certainly be amounts that would be helpful. Just one thing I should add in French. Si qu'il y a des questions en français, je peux certainement répondre à des questions en français si qu'il y en a.
Thank you, Bob. We're gonna go to Ian with the Chronicle Herald. Ian, did you have a question?
Yeah, I guess first question is just wondering what the limitations are for the aircraft as far as what the winds reach before they can't work either because of the danger one skimming or bucketing or the danger just flying.
Sure. So the aircraft we have on this fire are quite capable of flying in wind, but the difference is it's sustained wind is what is okay. The gusts are what can cause them grief. So if they're coming up out of a lift or going into a drop, the gusts are what can cause them some problems. It's similar, and I'm not a pilot or an expert, but I spoke to some this morning. It's similar to the ocean. If your waves are all the same, you can certainly maintain that quite easily. Then you get a bigger wave that throws you for a loop. That's kind of like the wind gusts are to the pilots.
Did you have a follow-up, Ian?
Yeah, just wondering the minimal growth that was recorded this morning, the 2 hectares. Just wondering if that was just moving beyond the burn perimeter that you have right now, or was that spotting caused by the wind?
I think it's generally still a relatively coarse measurement, primarily flown, by helicopter and trying to tight line the fire as best they can from the air and using a bit of hotspot mapping. So again, probably, just registering minimal growth probably in some part of the fire, but there's been nothing significant, no runs or anything that's kind of caused any concern, just a little refinement, I think, in the measurement.
Thank you, Scott. Hina with the Canadian Press, did you have a question?
Hi, yes, I did. I was wondering what contingencies are in place for firefighters battling the Long Lake fire if the winds from Hurricane Erin become too much.
So we're constantly watching that on site as well. Firefighters on any incident have escape routes planned, always in play for whatever might come up. So they're on the ground. They see what they're seeing. If they don't see what they're seeing, we also have a helicopter in the air. That's an aerial platform that helps to watch what's taking place all over the fire. If they notice anything out of the ordinary or if things are going bad, they'll certainly let the crews know, and they'll all leave in their appropriate manner.
I was also wondering, why is it taking so much time and effort to get this Long Lake fire under control? It's 32 square kilometers. Why is it so hard to get it under control?
Some of the challenges are, the drought conditions and the intensity and how deep the fire is burning, partly the size and some of the remoteness, and some of the uncertainty that's been presented with, the passage of the system that's going to generate some wind and some wind shifts. And so all of that factors into the status that's applied to the fire. So they had very favorable firefighting conditions last couple days, and light variable winds, cooler temperatures. They've certainly taken advantage of that. I think, as Jim mentioned on yesterday's call, we need to see what the impacts of this wind through the weekend is going to have before we can get anywhere near to changing the status. So.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Avery with CTV, did you have a question?
Yes, good afternoon, folks. Appreciate the time as always. Just wanted to ask about the fire as it pertains to structures in the area. How close is the fire to the structure? And further to that point, how are we expecting the winds to factor into the firefight as it relates to making sure all structures are safe?
Andrew might want to add a bit specifically to the structure protection tactics, but as we showed on the map there, and the fire had spread a number of days ago now up to and past the West Dalhousie Road, where there are homes, and there was active structure protection. We've actually had fire in and around infrastructure and homes that have been protected, but so it's there and close to others in the area. Maybe Andrew get to add a bit.
Yeah, I can add to that. We have a task force that's been developed that's working particularly on structural protection throughout it. We work closely with the incident management team here to get an idea of where the fire is going, how close it's coming, and through the good help of Halifax Fire and volunteers from West Hants right to Yarmouth have really helped support us in the deployment of sprinkler kits on structures.
No follow-up. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Avery. I have CBC here. I believe it's Anjali on the line. Did you have a question?
I do. I just have two short ones. So, if the fire, we're saying it grew by 100 hectares, is this growth that happened overnight, or is this something that we know now because we can measure it more accurately?
Be the latter. It just measured more accurately. It's a 3,200 hectare fire. It's not a square a block. It's fingers and joints and all kinds of just more accurately measured.
The other thing I'm wondering too, just where we have shifting winds and things can change over the weekend, is there a plan to kind of continue with these video conferences over the weekend for all of us covering the fire?
I believe I was told to be prepared for the weekend as well. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised of people that have not asked questions yet. I don't know if I'm missing anyone. Anyone else with new questions that hasn't asked yet? If you could raise your hand. Okay, I'll give it another second there. If not, I'll circle back for another round of questions. So if people want to raise their hands, and if you have any other questions, I'll get to you in just a little bit. Ian with the Chronicle Herald.
Hi, just wondering how much, if we got an idea of how far around the fire you have the dozer guards, and just how wide you're making those.
I don't have the exact measurement. It's an ongoing effort. There's many kilometers of guard that's been put in, and it varies in width. I've heard anywhere from 30 meters in some instances to it's kind of varying depending on the terrain that they're going through. There's been some areas where they can't put fire break and with heavy equipment, and in those situations they're utilizing a mix of dropping water from the air and then supporting that with ground firefighters going in and suppressing the hot parts of the fire and making what we call a wet line. So it really varies, but they have made very significant progress during this week.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Ian. I'm gonna call on Sheldon with MBS News Halifax. Another question.
Thanks again. The map that you showed, Scott, didn't show a whole lot of roads. Was that because of the map, or is it really an area where there isn't a lot of access outside of by air?
There's those were the main kind of arteries in there. Obviously the West Dalhousie Road, and then a couple of smaller roads. There are some probably more trail-like roads and old woods roads and things like that the crews have been able to utilize, but it is parts of the fire are relatively remote. They've been able to access a lot of the fire, but there are some areas where they may have to fly into. So it's a large fire.
Not sure if I want to follow up. If I am, it would be, what does that do for your strategy and tactics moving forward once you get to the point where you go back inside?
It's going to be an ongoing assessment. Again, knowing that the winds, increasing and shifting through the weekend, they're probably going to change the perimeter of the fire somewhat, and it's going to be measured against the efforts have already been put in to see where containment will hold and maybe where a little bit of growth might happen. So they'll have to continue to adjust. But they certainly are well resourced with aircraft. They've got things like UTVs and ATVs, 4x4 trucks. They're certainly well equipped to access any parts of this fire. And, that this is what they're trained and experienced in doing, is fighting fires in remote areas.
Thanks, Scott. Opening up to Jake Webb with Global.
Hi, I'm just wondering, maybe I've missed it, but is it possible to get a copy of that map that you were showing earlier, Scott, or anyone?
Yes, that map can be provided through wildfirecomms@novascotia.ca. So you can just send an email and we can share that map with you through there.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Did you have another question, Jake, or was that it?
Sure. I'm wondering, what has communication been like between local officials and community members, as obviously everyone's got their head up and being vigilant with the winds and trying to stay up to date with everything progressing today?
We do twice daily. Oh, sorry, maybe Andrew would rather answer that, but
Oh, you go ahead. I can follow up on it, Jim.
we do twice daily calls with all the partners involved, all the different agents involved in this, including the municipality of Annapolis as well. They're all included. So twice daily we have calls so everyone knows what everyone's working on and what the highlights are of everyone's day. That happens twice a day.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is part of having a professional incident management team here to help manage this. Part of that is having representation from key stakeholders, community members, and in the municipality as well. So we're very fortunate to have them right here with us.
Perfect, thank you. I'll bring it back to Ian, recognizing that you didn't get another follow-up. So Ian, if you had another question, you can ask it now.
Just curious. I know that a lot of the crews are being put up at Cornwallis Park, I think. Just wondering how many people are being accommodated in the local area from either firefighter support crews and so on, and how many are traveling back and forth each day, if you've got a rough idea.
I would say the majority of them are being accommodated. Those that live close enough would travel to their homes, but the majority of them, especially the people of Ontario and further up the province, are definitely being accommodated. I don't have an exact number for you, Ian, but that the majority is fair to say.
Thank you, Jim and Ian. And Hina, I see that your hand is up. Did you have another question?
I did. It's how common is it to have a hurricane and a wildfire at the same time, and what is that doing to the mood of the firefighters on the ground who are already battling this raging blaze?
It's the first time in my career I've had that happen. I'm not looking forward to having it happen again, but we'll wait and see what happens. The crews are very professional, and they bend to the weather all the time, and they make plans accordingly to continue. The wind, I mean, it's some wind, but it's certainly not hurricane force winds, but it is wind, and it's wind changes, and it's going to be a little swirly for a while so they're just accommodating themselves accordingly.
Don't want to speak for Bob, but I think you kind of clarified for us well this morning, Bob. We're caught up in the flow of the hurricane, but not necessarily the core or the direct influence of the.
Correct. Yeah. The hurricane itself is its own entity, so it has a circulation, and we are at the far north edge of that circulation. So the winds aren't particularly strong when you talk about from hurricane standards. Because we're so far away from it. In fact, what we're seeing out here is is fairly typical for a Nova Scotia kind of a typical breezy Nova Scotia day. But to have I think what most people would have probably wanted is the hurricane to come closer so that we would have gotten the rain from that storm. Tropical cyclones, post-tropical storms, hurricanes can produce 50 to 100 millimeters of rain in a short period of time here in Atlantic Canada. And that would have been really beneficial for what we're dealing with right now, but it wasn't the case. So just thankful it didn't come closer so that the winds were stronger. But if it had come even closer, then we would have gotten into the rain part of it. But I've been doing this for 21 years, and I think it's also the first time that we've had to deal with a wildfire and a hurricane, and at least watching a hurricane at the same time.
Thank you, Bob. Just an update, folks, for everyone here. For those who wanted to access the map that Scott shared, it is available on the emergency alerts page online. So the link for that would be novascotia.ca/alerts. So you can find that updated map there now. So you can have it faster as well. And I don't see any other hands up, so I'm gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you everyone once again for joining this media availability, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, bye-bye.